Things seem to be exploding for the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan because of the looming price hike that is going on. The Nintendo Switch 2 is facing sellouts in Japan as customers are rushing apparently to buy the system before the end of the month price hike. So we're going to talk about that and the impact that that's going to have afterwards, because yes, sure, great to have more people buy the system, but the bad thing is that there's going to be a price increase. So that's absolutely going to affect the future of the system, but I'm going to break down exactly what is going to happen. We also have a big creator, I would say from the 7th generation, discussing what I've been talking about when it comes to the law of diminishing returns and graphics, in addition to Sega and a potential reveal for Persona 4 Revival, when we're going to be able to get that game. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. So the Nintendo Switch 2 facing some sellouts in Japan as people are rushing to pick it up before the 10,000 yen plus price increase, in addition to a Nintendo Switch Online price increase that is coming as well, or already maybe there. You can probably stock up on those. So let's get into what's happening here. Shout outs to Go Nintendo and Genki for the beat on this one. Genki actually has boots on the ground in Japan, so he sees these things. So let's talk about it here. So Nintendo recently announced that the Nintendo Switch 2 would be getting a price increase later this year. That price is going up from $450 to $500, while in Japan it'll go up from 49,980 yen to 59,980 yen. The new pricing is scheduled to go into effect shortly in Japan on May 25th, 2026, whereas once again, the price here in the West, it's not going up till September 1st. Now, customers seemingly in Japan are scrambling to pick up the hardware before that price jump. Now, over the weekend, Japanese retail store Big Camera took steps to limit how easily customers can purchase Switch 2 and other related products. As of now, customers need to have a specifically Big Camera branded credit card in order to buy a Switch 2 from their stores. Presumably, this action is intended to limit people from buying as many Switch 2s as they can at the current price before turning around and reselling them at a higher price in a few weeks. So essentially just scalping here. Now, even with some retailers taking precautions, it seems the flood of people is just too much for them to handle. Yodobashi Camera has been hit hard by customers flocking the store to buy the Switch 2, and now they've put up notices saying that they're completely out of stock when it comes to hardware. Even worse, the retailer doesn't have information on when the next shipment will come in. The sellout situation is likely to crop up at multiple retailers as they inch closer to that May 25th price hike. Those in Japan looking to get their hands on Nintendo Switch 2 at the current price better act fast at this point. So it's one of those unfortunate things, like I talked about. You never want to see price increases. I don't think price increases are good. Nintendo did break down in detail why they increased the price. They talked about that in their investor meeting, because the component costs, oil costs, gas costs, shipping costs, all that stuff is going up because of the economics around the world. You also see what's happening with Microsoft, Sony, and PC handheld manufacturers, PC parts. Everything has jumped up in price. Valve, for example, stopped selling the $400 Steam Deck and only gives you the option for the $550 to $650 Steam Deck. And even that is pretty much just sold out, and they're not even producing more because it costs so much more to produce them than it did back when they first started making them. You look at Microsoft and Sony, both of them have increased the price of their systems from the price in 2020 up $100 or plus more, depending on the type of model that you're getting. So it's just something that you see with the component costs because of AI, because of oil costs, because of shipping costs, because of the inflation and economics. It's just skyrocketing across the tech sector. So the good news is that Nintendo only raised the price by $50 for the most part. Now, they haven't ruled out another price increase in the future. So I will say this, I'm not trying to panic buy or tell people to rush out there and get it because of that, but I will say this, if you plan on picking up a Nintendo Switch 2, especially if you want something like Pokemon Winds and Waves, or the next Legend of Zelda game, or the next Super Smash Bros. Game, or the next 3D Mario game, if you can, plan on picking it up here in the West. You got till September 1st. Plan on getting it before then, because it is going to go up, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Right now, when it comes to the world economics and how some of the policies are being put in place, there's no protections for these type of things when it comes to AI or when it comes to the RAM costs. So it's going to be unpredictable on what's going to happen in the future. So if you want Nintendo Switch 2, definitely see if you can go out there and get one before there's further price increases. There's also a choose your own bundle type thing that Nintendo's doing starting up in June, to where you could pick between Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, or Pokemon Pocopia for $500. So that's going to help ease the blow as well. Plus, you also have a lot of the games being $10 cheaper digital, with retailers like Amazon and Walmart matching the digital prices. So we are getting a little bit of relief when it comes to things, but stuff is getting crazy expensive. And in Japan, it's going to be interesting to see the boost that the Nintendo Switch 2 gives, especially with Golden Week just passing and everything. It's going to be interesting to see the boost that the Switch 2 does get. And then after the price increase, is it going to be as popular? How is Nintendo going to do things to help with the sales and promotion there? Because obviously the price was good with the Japan only model, but it almost seemed too good to be true for the Japan only model considering the price that it was. And now we see the price increase happening, and it's happening way quicker than it is in the West. So what do you guys think about all this? How do you think it's going to work out with things? And do you think that there's going to be a bigger boost of people picking it up before the price increases around the world? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, so let's talk about what Mr. Ken Levine had to say. The original creator of BioShock recently used the Nintendo Switch 2 as an example while criticizing the overall game industry's increasing obsession with graphical realism, arguing that the medium has reached somewhat of a point of diminishing returns when it comes to visuals. Now, this was in an interview with IGN, and he discussed how modern games continue to chase photorealism, but believes players and developers alike are starting to value unique artistic styles over raw graphical power. Quote, realism doesn't age as well as more realistic things. BioShock still looks good, I think, because it wasn't trying to get every nut and bolt super realistic. Levine also continued on saying that the growing popularity of more affordable and less technically ambitious hardware, such as the Nintendo Switch 2 and Valve's upcoming Steam-focused devices, saying that the industry may already have reached a level where additional graphical leaps are no longer essential. Quote, look at, say, the Nintendo Switch 2 and even the new Steam machine coming out. Those are not massive technological upgrades. That wasn't their strategy. I think people are realizing we're hitting a bit of diminishing returns with that. Now, according to Levine, what truly allows a game to stand the test of time is finding the right artistic direction and the creative vision rather than constantly pursuing cutting-edge technology. Quote, you don't need to be on the cutting edge of technology all the time. Even the stuff we're doing in Judas, all this narrative stuff we're doing, it's not CPU intensive, it's work intensive on our side. Now, although Levine did use the Nintendo Switch 2 as a positive example during the discussion, he has not confirmed if his game Judas will be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I want to talk about this because I find there to be so many different things that I've talked about in my live streams if you haven't checked that out. So I do think that, yes, graphical power and evolvement of technology is obviously important. We wouldn't have DLSS, we wouldn't have the Nintendo Switch 2 if the advancements in graphical technology, especially with ARM and with smaller semiconductors and all that, wasn't happening. So I do think that that's something that's important. But here is the problem. The problem that in the past, it used to be somewhat even. You were able to put out something stronger and the price would go up, but it'd be a bit more even. But now because of AI, because of inflation, because of the rising cost of components, because of the current climate when it comes to political and other things, it's putting a stress, a strain, an unbelievable, I would say, burden on what we can do and the prices. So now a lot of people are seeing what's happening, where you get a system that was released 5 years ago going on 6, and it's more expensive than it was 5 years ago. If you look at the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, both of these systems have jumped up $100 to $150, even upwards of $200 more in the case of the PlayStation 5 Pro, where in the last year it's jumped up $200 and you don't even get a disk drive with it. So I think that's where this is going. at this rate, it's going to be unsustainable. There are rumors that the next Xbox with Project Helix is going to be upwards of $1,000 or close. That is just not sustainable. It's not feasible when it comes to getting a lot of people into gaming, where we need to be heading, even with the Nintendo Switch 2 and the price increase that we saw with that. It's $450, which some people felt was pricey, and now it's going up to $500, and that's still $100 cheaper than even a PlayStation 5 that obviously is not a hybrid system, or an Xbox Series, or even what's coming up next. So I do believe that there is merit in what he's trying to say here. And if you look at a lot of the games that are coming out, what is the reason for me to go out there and spend $3,000 on a super high-end PC and all that with the greatest graphics? I don't really see any reason to do that, because I'm getting incredible experiences even on a base PlayStation 5. Heck, even people on PlayStation 4 are still getting fun experiences. And if I look at what I'm getting on the Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of the games are really good. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild still looks good to this day, even if you're playing on a Switch 1, kind of crusty when it comes to the resolution and the frame rate at times. But if you're playing on the Nintendo Switch 2, it's nowhere near the technological beast of a PS5 Pro, but it still looks and plays good and has a great art style that really helps push it and make it look timeless, despite the game going on 10 years old at this point. So I think that's what he was trying to say, and I absolutely see where he's coming from. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Microsoft and Sony. They might be delaying their systems or pushing them back because the price of components are too high, and I think that there's absolutely merit to what he's saying, and I think he's correct in a lot of ways. So what do you guys think about what Mr. Ken Levine had to say here? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, moving on to the final topic here. It looks like Sega is readying Persona 4 Revival for an early 2027 release, according to a Atlas leaker. So a Sega Atlas leaker, whatever this person's name is, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, who has been on the mark with leaks in recent times, has stated that the long-awaited Persona 4 Revival is set to be released in the same month of Persona 3 Reload, which would make for a February 2027 release date, because that game originally came out, I think, in February of 2024. So he's saying that it's going to be the same month, so that'd be February 2027. Now, this does line up with other information discovered, including the Funko Pop figures released and the fact that the game is set to be completed at the end of August and released in 2027. So I do think that it's probably going to be happening then. They do like those early release dates when it comes to the remakes or re-releases of Persona games. We haven't really heard too much about this outside of that original debut trailer, but I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of news, probably at Microsoft's show and maybe at Summer Games Fest. We'll see about that, but I think that Microsoft will probably have another deal with this. If they don't, that's fine, whatever, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of talk about Persona 4 Revival and new trailers and everything leading into the launch of the game early next year, because they still have Persona 6, and that's probably going to be released in 2027, or at least shown off a lot in 2027. So I think they're kind of gearing up for that. Atlas has been kind of quiet recently. We haven't gotten too many big releases or new games from them, and I think that they're really just kind of storing up and gearing up and saving up for the explosion here that's going to be Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6. And once Persona 6 comes out, that is going to be an event for them. They are staking a lot on that game, considering they've been kind of light, and I would not be surprised if we see a new Shin Megami Tensei game come out for Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. I think that they're probably getting that ready as well, at least planning and all that. But I think that they want to make sure that they don't make the same mistake with Shin Megami Tensei 5, where they announced it way too early at Nintendo's event in 2017, and it didn't launch until 2021, and there was no information for such a long period of time. So I do think that they're probably working on it, and they want to announce it in a more timely fashion in comparison to when it's actually going to launch. So probably not have like 4 years in between, maybe like a year or two when it comes to that game. So I think Atlas is getting ready for some big game re-reveals, in addition to some releases for games as well, with Persona 4 Revival, Persona 6, and potentially even an announcement of Shin Megami Tensei 6 as well. So what do you guys think when it comes to everything we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.